And this week in the Rumor Mill, nerds, we might be seeing a Sydney Sweeney Jedi in Star Wars. That's apparently in the Rumor Mill. We also have Friday the 13th. Now that those rights have been settled, we have a rumor for 2 separate video games in the works. Plus, we have Wolverine apparently getting a chance to do in live action one of the things that the fans love from the comics, and that's fight a big green monster. We'll talk about which big green monster that is in just a second, but that's what we got this week coming at you for rumors.
Maybe. It's classified.
Hello nerds, and welcome to the Rumor Mill. You have found the appropriate cheat code to get to the news before it becomes news. Here we will discuss rumors in the pop culture and nerdy realm of things. Then we will discuss the probability that those rumors are legitimate. And then finally, probably a little bit of my own personal speculation. If you want the more concrete news that has already become news, then there is a full news show over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom, which you can find linked down in the description, as well as at the end of this video. Now, let's see what all of those rumor mongers have to say, and which of them are just plain full of poop. No confirmations or refutations, no new sources for old rumors, just new rumors. So let's do this. George Clooney is our first one. George Clooney is reportedly going to be joining the MCU in a very specific way. Nick Fury is how apparently he's going to be joining the MCU. Now, through the course of taking the notes and finding the rumors, apparently I did not write down for which rumor or for which movie this was supposed to be. In my head, it's Deadpool and Wolverine, because Deadpool Wolverine is going to deal with multiverse rather extensively. Also, Secret Wars is happening, which is going to deal with multiverse rather extensively, but that's just a little ways down the road. So that changes the percentage a little bit depending on which movie it's for. We're going to go off of my first instinct that it was supposed to be for Deadpool, because I didn't write it in the notes, because, say it with me class, I take amazing notes. Yes, I do. Yeah, assuming that's the movie, we're looking at about 60% likely, because George Clooney is definitely leaning towards doing some fan servicey stuff, some real quick single day shoot kind of stuff, just because he's focusing on his directing, it would seem a little bit more these days, and also getting a little old. So, you know, it is what it is. If, though, it is supposed to be for the Secret Wars, and I'll just have to follow up with this next week, and I apologize, but if that's what the rumor was supposed to be, then that increases it slightly, because that gives it a little bit more room for them to book and pay for George Clooney, assuming Deadpool makes them money, etc., etc. So that's what we got for George Clooney. Let's move over to Lucasfilm. We have Sydney Sweeney is apparently going to be donning a Jedi uniform in the Star Wars universe. So we have a couple of significant things playing in the favor of this rumor. One, Sydney Sweeney's kind of an it girl right now for whatever reason. Like her last, I don't know, I don't remember what the most recent movie was because I didn't see it, and I, again, take amazing notes. But Madam Web was garbage and she did poorly. And then before that, she was in something else, not the Euphoria show. She's in a different movie that also did poorly. She did all right in Euphoria. That show's done fine. And then again, her more recent movie, I think, did well with critics, which definitely doesn't say much, but it might have made money. I don't remember. Either way, she's an it girl right now. She is significantly in the pop culture conversation. And she's female, plus, you know, the people on the side of the Comicsgate and the people who are more critical of pop culture tend to like her a little bit generally anyway. So you're going to make two sides of this social political coin happy by casting her in a movie. I think that's a significant win. This also is one of those rumors that's unverifiable. You cannot verify that company wants to do a thing, because most of the time want to happens behind the scenes, and there's never going to be anyone that comes out and says, oh yeah, I am somebody who works officially for Lucasfilm and I can say definitively that we want Sydney Sweeney to do a thing. It's not how it works. So there's no way to verify this unless they actually cast her and that gets announced, at which point that would kind of be a confirmation. Or it could have just happened naturally or quickly or something like that. So as it stands right now, because we are kind of far away, there are also multiple sources, but two different versions of this rumor. One of them is that Sydney Sweeney is going to be in a Star Wars movie, presumably as the star of said Star Wars movie. Or the other variation of this rumor is that she's going to be in the Rey Star Wars movie, which kind of also lends to its credence because, you know, the future of the Force is female, as Kathleen Kennedy wants to say. So yeah, 75% likely, because all of the things that are stacking up in line, even the things that kind of play against it, don't fully play against it. So 75% likely we will be seeing Sydney Sweeney don a Jedi uniform or a Sith uniform, one of the two, in the future for Lucasfilm. Next up, we have Friday the 13th video games. I said that right, plural. 2 video games are part of this rumor. So with the rights having been reined in, we now know that they want to make a universe around Friday the 13th. They made that announcement back in like February, I believe it was. So that part is not rumor. That is actually happening. They're moving forward with this. The rumor here is that we're getting 2 video games. The announcement said TV shows, movies, and games, probably comic books too, but I remember specifically those 3. So, video games. The asymmetrical multiplayer game that came out a few years back was very popular amongst fans. They had to shut it down because of the issue with the rights. So presumably at least one of these games is going to be a successor to that. And then the other game, according to the rumor, is going to be a narrative-driven horror game. So very presumably you're not going to be playing as Jason Voorhees in this game. The fact that we're getting both of these games at the same time in this rumor is the biggest thing playing against it. Because unless there's 2 different developers at work here, which is a big ask for a movie tie-in franchise for gaming, that's fairly big ask. So very likely they have one developer actively working on one of these 2 games, which, I don't know, my money kind of goes towards the asymmetrical multiplayer game, just because, again, did super well the first time around. The developers didn't want to shut it down, but they had to. They are finishing up development on the Killer Clowns game, so they have the time, it would seem, you would assume anyway. There is not enough for the narrative game to be true. So the fact that these 2 are tied to the same rumor is the only thing that's dropping this as low as it's going. And even then, it's still on the likely side of the 50% mark. We're going to say 55% likely that we'll be seeing both of these games in the near future. Near future meaning probably the beginning of the next console generation. If it was just one or the other, that would be much more likely. But since it's both, we can't, it feels like that's just not the way it's going to play out, because it's very likely not the way it's going to play out. Next up, we have the MCU TV. So the next phase of the television shows has rumors all around. So there's a list here. We're going to give each one of these shows its own percentage likelihood that it is actively in development, because that's the rumor says. The rumor says that we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different shows that are going into phase 7 for the TV. That's a whole thing unto itself. It's phase 5, or is it 6? Either way, it's not phase 7. It's the shows and the movies are all the same universe now, so they're all the same phase. So the fact that I didn't make the graphic that you're looking at on the screen right now, but whoever made it is not educated on the way these things work. But let's get into the shows that are actually on this list. Each one of these individually: Vision Quest, Nova, Blonde Phantom, Punisher, Wiccan, White Tiger, and Strange Tales. All of these are rumored to be in the works in either pre or current or active development. All right, so let's go through these. First up, Vision Quest. This is kind of the worst kept secret as far as the Marvel shows goes. So yeah, this one's 90% likely we will be seeing Vision Quest in the near future. Nova profile has been raised a fair amount recently. There's been some conversation of he's been mentioned in the movies, but still kind of an unknown for normies, and also still a little bit of work needs to go into establishing it before we get into the series, I think. So we're going to say 50% likely that Nova will be getting a series. Also, previously it was supposed to be a movie, wasn't it? And then Blonde Phantom is not a character that most normies or most casual readers of comic books really knows. I do not know who Blonde Phantom is. That is definitely series in the MCU that just seems silly. And then Punisher with John Barenthal cast, we already know it's likely he's going to be getting something thrown his way, be it a role in a movie or a series unto himself. That remains to be seen. So I would like to think that it's going to be a series unto himself and a role into the movie, but still could kind of go either way. We're going to say 60% likely he's actively in development, the Punisher. Wiccan has been part of the conversation a fair bit recently, but still kind of an unknown as far as normies are concerned, as far as casual readers are concerned. A lot of people kind of just know who he is because he's the son of the Scarlet Witch, and that's about it. So he's going to get his own series. There is honestly enough that it could go either way for Wiccan. So we're going to say 50% likely there. White Tiger is another one that just doesn't have enough of a profile. A little bit more because of the relation to Black Panther. So White Tiger, we're going to say about 30% likely. So a little bit more than the Blonde Phantom. And then Strange Tales. Presumably it will be an anthology series, the Strange Tales. They've done well with anthologies before in that, you know, we got the Jedi one for the Lucasfilm. We got the What If series for Marvel. All of these things have done well with them. It seems that they kind of know what they're doing. But it feels slightly too obscure at the moment for them to go that direction. So we're going to say either way, 50-50, right down the middle. From there, we have Young Avengers in the rumor mill. This time it's a different rumor. We're not going to rumor that it's going to happen. We're rumored now that it's not going to happen. They rumored to have canceled it. It seems like we've got too much forward momentum pushing us into a Young Avengers show, or movie rather. So I can't imagine this one's necessarily true. Though we do know that they're not making a lot of money. We do know that they're trying to scale back releases. So yeah, there's a little bit there, but not much. We're going to say 40% likely that we are not going to be getting a Young Avengers movie. And then let's get into kind of the big meat and potatoes, Wolverine, as far as it pertains to who is going to cameo as Wolverine in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, as well as what variants of Wolverine we're going to be seeing. We have two separate rumors here. First one is Henry Cavill, once again rumored to be playing Wolverine to some degree. This time, though, the rumor says he's going to be the yellow and brown suit Wolverine from so many years in the comic books. And I believe that's also the variant that we got in the Children of the Atom video game. So yeah, Henry Cavill playing yellow and brown. That one's about 20%. Not because we're not going to see yellow and brown suit Wolverine. I think we are going to see that. But Henry Cavill, busy dude. Not likely to be doing the thing in cameo for Marvel. Just doesn't seem likely. Probably has some sort of contract with somebody else saying he's not going to do something like that. So super not likely there. But will we see a zombie variant of Wolverine? I'm going to put that one at about 90% because we already know zombies are in the MCU. They were part of the What If show. What If show is kind of canon. So sure, universe that is zombie universe. Yeah, 90% we'll see zombie Wolverine. Then let's cut over to DC for just a moment. This the Snyderverse specifically. Zack Snyder is teasing that we're potentially going to be seeing the Justice League, his version of the Justice League, on the big screen. So a theatrical release for the Snyder cut of the Justice League, the long version. I mean, Zack Snyder kind of gets what Zack Snyder wants to a certain degree. I don't see that this is unlikely really at all. 90% likely we're going to see Zack Snyder release his Justice League into theaters. And then SpiderMan is our next one. Back over to Marvel. We have, this also has to do with the Deadpool Wolverine movie. Tobey Maguire SpiderMan is the next rumored to be in the cameo list for Deadpool and Wolverine. This seems super unlikely just because the whole Sony situation is so sticky. If they were going to do any variant of Spider-Man, it would not be that one. It would very likely be the Tom Holland variant of Spider-Man. I think I said Scorpion. I didn't mean to say Scorpion. Spider-Man. So 30% likely we'll be seeing Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in Deadpool and Wolverine. And then our big rumor for the episode, we have also to do with Deadpool and Wolverine. This one's kind of huge though. Wolverine battling the Hulk in Deadpool and Wolverine. I want this to happen so bad. Will we see? There's a lot of issues with the rights to the Hulk as well, which is why we haven't gotten a whole lot of Hulk. Not just the Mark Ruffalo situation, him being kind of an idiot. But the whole Universal owning partial rights to the Hulk as well just is getting in the way of a lot of things. But we do know that Feige is doing things and they've got a lot of money, so we're going to put this just over halfway. We're going to say 55% likely that we'll see the epic battle between Wolverine and Hulk like we get in the comic books so often and so greatly. I was 55%. I wanted to happen a lot, but this is about as good as we got. All right, so that is the end of the rumor mill. No speculation to speak of this week, nerds. Just that's rumors. So yeah, let's go. Let's move on. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.